And of course, we timed our step away for right when we set up a good transition. Because speaking
Summer
of
of 1999.
yeah.
What were you doing in
11
November?
Oh, right. Yeah, this game we played is...
At least in the beginning, takes
this
place.
entire time, I thought we were talking about Obra Dinn again.
No.
Welcome to the Save State. This is a podcast where we talk about video games that we played. And today we played a video game that we're going to talk to you about. And that game is Hypnospace Outlaw.
We had to check the notes for that, huh? You forgot.
I get, because I'm always like, is it Soma Space Outlaw? Is it like, I can never quite remember that part.
Mm-hmm.
But what is it? What would you call this? GeoCities punk
I was
game?
going to say a GeoCities simulator.
Angel Fire? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an early internet simulator that kind of is designed in... Everyone obviously remembers the art style of the NES game Skate or Die, and I think this kind of lives that legacy, going forward.
I would say what it reminded me most of is like late 90s computer magazine advertisements.
Yeah.
Less so the actual software, but like the way computers were advertised, Cisco systems bringing everyone had this very optimistic but vague understanding of what the internet was going to do. It was like it was going to change the world and everyone was going to get better, but no one really knew what it was besides web pages. So like you'd have all this grandiose descriptions of stuff like free yourself, live in another universe, develop the change of the world, change the world with a click of a button stuff. And it was you just made yourself a GeoCities page with some fun GIFs.
Yeah, I was trying to look up the images for the old Radeon graphics card box art because that stuff also would seem very right.
I think that's a little after that.
It's a little
To
after,
me,
but it's still kind of somehow it was worse than the show Reboot's graphics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that early render art, I think a lot of that stuff's even earlier than that. Like some of that stuff is like Amiga based 3D render art. But yeah, like there were some, like if you remember like early on you had some teach yourself how to use Windows type programs that were built into Windows. So like for Gam she would we had one called Navigator or Voyager or something like that. So like the idea was like if you wanted to like listen to a sound file, you would go into the kitchen like in the virtual world and click on like the not the kitchen. You go into the study and there'd be like a record player and you click on that and that would run the program for the record player. And this has a lot of those vibes. So that like the setup of the game, the actual gameplay is you are a enforcer / moderator of this basically bunch of web rings on GeoCities. The conceit is that this is all happening in your brain. Like this is some sort of special, everyone who's in this intranet is wearing like a headband and they're actually all asleep. So this is them dreaming. That doesn't actually matter at all for anything in this game. It's just a fun idea.
I mean, there's some story elements that we won't necessarily dive into for spoiler reasons, but it does come up.
It comes up, but it's not like nothing that's actually happening has anything that needs. There's no reason this needs to be something that's set.
No, there's no.
It's just a way for them to set up like a separate universe of late '90s stuff that isn't actually the same '90s stuff.
You're never going to have a sequence where like your day ends and you wake up and then have a day in the real world, like as a juxtaposition between the two realities, which could have been interesting, but not their intention in the game.
Right, nor do you interact with anything in the world like you would in a dream state. Like you can't fly, you can't do they even make a point of like imagine you're using a keyboard, so it seems like you're just it really is just the same as what an early internet experience would be like. But so you're this moderator enforcer, and your job is to like kind of take down things that aren't supposed to be there initially, and then as the game progresses, you kind of discover more things you're supposed to do. There's some shady tech guy stuff. Big surprise. But this game is very stylish. Like I think like a lot of what this game is runs on the style of the game.
A lot of really interesting custom artwork that reminds me of like websites I forgot existed back in the day. Like I forgot websites used to be, unique and like a piece of art in and of themselves, instead of just everything being a copy paste of the same, setup. Which, the music though, I think is what got me for this
There's some
game.
good
Yeah.
music,
Like, not just the music, but the idea that genres were created and then subgenres of those like the music evolves and becomes new subgenres and new genres over time, and like
Or at least the way people talk.
the way
about
people
it
talk
changes.
about it changes. Like you see this historical tree of the music
Yeah.
branching out, and it's just really cool.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's like I think that they're more kind of critiquing the way music criticism worked, because, like, for example, the song "Chowder Man" by Chowder Man is listed as in almost all those genres, and it doesn't actually. It's a very strange song. But yeah, there's a lot of, especially like some of the new agey tracks. They nail like that late '90s corporate new age sound really well in a way that, like, I think a lot of other people have tried to emulate that stuff, and they all kind of go too cartoony with it. And there's a lot of that kind of like corporate tutorial new age music that goes on that I thought was really well done. And then like this like all of the art assets, all of the different like texts, I think that was maybe one problem, is that there wasn't enough weird fonts. Like I remember GeoCities, everyone had to have a stupid font that was almost entirely legible. They maybe made the game a little too legible, but there was just so much. Like there's only actually like 30, 40 pages you can go to maybe in the whole thing.
Yeah.
With like different they change a little bit as the game goes.
Yep. Time moves forward, so like events progress on the pages over time.
Yeah, but I mean, like, just like it seems limited, but at the same time, like thinking about it as I was playing, like there must have been a ton of work put into all of this, because there's so many different unique assets made for this game, even if they are all low res and stuff like that. It's really impressive.
It really, it's a very.
Although I was a little disappointed that they let me play it in widescreen. I would have appreciated if they forced me to play it in 4:3.
So you played it on the computer?
Yeah, I played. You didn't, right?
didn't.
You played it on Switch.
Yeah, which I think was a little frustrating at certain points, just the whole typing, because it is like kind of a typing simulator in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's interesting how that search
typing in
function,
AOL keywords, basically.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, so I really thought it was like very much just like a point and click adventure game, which I love, just with a very, very unique style, which I also loved. Like, and you did what you said, like there's like maybe 30, 40 pages, but they all have like multiple pages on them as well. Well, some of them, they're only like 1 or 2 pages, but some of them are like pretty in depth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of them have like.
And there's only like a 4-person development team, so that's pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, I mean, like there was just a ton of work that
dialogue, and interconnected stories.
I really enjoyed the operating system as a whole for this, because it's not that you're just navigating web pages. You've got like a file manager. You're downloading little files. Like either it's because you need to grab this piece of clip art so that you can report them for copyright infringement, so you need the proof of that. Or maybe there is a little secret embedded in a sound file or some other file. Maybe you get virus and you got to deal with that fucking virus. But
hey, Professor here.
It was upsetting. Like I couldn't handle it. It was a little bit of a visual overload for me for a while there. But
yeah,
it just was really cool to have like it could have been a lot more stripped down than that, and that extra level of detail to it being a complete operating system was just really fun to navigate and learn.
Yeah, I will say that as much as I really liked this game, but there was a point probably about 2/3 of the way through where like the kind of the trappings fell away, and I kind of saw it for the kind of annoying point and clicker that it ended up being. And I don't want to say it was annoying. I was very annoyed by a lot of the later parts of the game, but there is this point where you have to follow these instructions and find this one little like area to click on, and it's hidden, and you just get some hints. And I must have spent half an hour, and I moved my mouse over that exact spot dozens of times.
Was that before or after you got the ability of second sight?
Oh, this is well before
Okay.
that.
Okay, yeah.
This was well.
'Cause that does
before
make
that.
it a lot easier to see those secret areas.
Yeah, but that was
Yeah,
like almost
that
endgame
is
by the
endgame,
time I got
yeah.
that. This was like I said, probably middle of the way through, and after that, it just the fun, like, because you kind of stop running into new content about at this point. You kind of just start going back over pages you've been through or whatever, and it just the actual puzzles that they set up for me in the latter half of the game really started to grind on me. Like by the time I finished the game, I had to say I was kind of annoyed by a lot of it. Because it felt like I didn't really understand why I was supposed to figure a lot of this stuff out. It felt very unfair in some ways.
Yeah, there were times where it felt like you kind of had to, like, especially for acquiring some passwords, it felt like you had to brute force some things here and there to, like, through process of elimination, figure out where to get it from or how to get it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad I think I beat it in like 5.5 hours. It's not like an insanely long game. And yeah, I don't think it would have, like, it's not a game I'll go back to.
Yeah.
I don't think it overstayed its welcome, but it was the right amount of time.
And there really isn't much to like. I mean, it is. I mean, I kind of like. I haven't beat it, but just because I kind of meticulously explore every page just out of like curiosity and stuff. And I kind of like lose sight of my original goal, which is, kind of good for like an internet, style game. But yeah, I couldn't imagine like replaying it. But I wonder if there's some kind of way that like, if you just started over anew, you could like, with the knowledge you have, like skip a lot of stuff.
There's probably a lot you could do if you, like, especially if you took notes like ahead of time, like then you could just like breeze through a lot of it probably pretty fast.
Well, not to spoil things for you, Marcus, but at the end, after you beat the game, you do
The
get
archive.
a very basically you can go to all the different old pages and look at them at different timestamps as well. Like you get basically, it gives you the Wayback Machine basically. Which that is nice for, because also there's stuff that I didn't see at all until I got to that point. And I was like, because there was pages that maybe during that time I didn't end up looking at, but then
like know how to get to them.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was really cool, and like they do a really good job of like writing. I mean, maybe I didn't really talk about that because there isn't a ton of dialogue and stuff, but like, having all these different people all felt like real characters who were interacting with each other, and you were just listening in on their conversations and the way they interacted with each other. They all had that, like, that kind of, that tone and personality of like that late 90s optimism, and it's like, I think only like Second Life maybe still has this kind of idea of like, this is the place where you can be free and everyone can be happy and lovely to each other, and like a kind of naive optimism that it was kind of nice because you had like old people, young people, nerdy people, hippies, like they were all just kind of like, everyone was unified in their interest in this new thing, which was like the internet basically. So the internet was very much still connecting people around a shared experience as opposed to a way for people to shout at each other more easily.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, there's still some of that in it too. Like there are trolls
Zane sucks.
as well. Zane's a fucking asshole. But I don't know. Yeah, there's something to that, like from, like I said before, the internet used to be cool, and this kind of captured that feeling of like the excitement of finding a new web page that speaks to you.
Yeah, or like
new like subculture,
or like a web ring. Like I remember sometimes like finding a web ring of like, I remember one time we were talking about Gundams earlier, but like I found like a Gunpla web ring once when I was a kid, and I was just like, I can see pictures of these things already made that other people have done, which sounds like passe now, but at the time I was like, this is amazing. I've only ever seen these in boxes, and I could never afford like one of them a year.
That's so funny. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I did. It.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no, me too.
But yeah, I couldn't have played this game any longer. My eyes were beginning to hurt at a certain point. Like, especially near the end, you have so many windows open all the time that my brain just felt overloaded by all of it. It just was too busy.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, you have later on. There's definitely a lot of things you're dealing with like that. And the fact that these are also old web pages, so you had sound that would come on as soon as you opened the website, and moving images that were just there to show that you could have a moving image and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what was the one? It's still kind of like stuck in my head a bit. Was it Squishers?
Oh, Squishers! Yeah, Squishers. I think they were supposed to be like a Pokemon
pastiche.
pastiche.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because there was the whole Squishers wrap that you could get at the end there, and it listed out a bunch of them. That was great.
Well, I think it's also interesting is it also shows like how unprepared for the internet advertisers were at the time. Like we think of like the internet and big corporate advertisers as going hand in hand, and but there was a time when they had no idea what they were doing. Like they were just making web rings with student counselors and trying to get people to buy their pop and stuff. Like it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You forget about how all that was. Like that was the other thing is like being an early internet person, you felt like you were very much ahead of the curve, but like also everyone else was an idiot.
Yeah.
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 Is there anything else we need to say about this game?
Yeah, this is a hard one to like discuss at length just because it's very simplistic.
It's simplistic, but like it's mostly rooted in the story that develops over time. Like the characters that you meet online, their lives, how they develop over time. The old lady trying to like learn the internet and get better over, time for herself, and the community rallying around to help her. And
like I think also like so much of the lifting in this is done by style.
Yeah.
Like this game would not be anything if it wasn't for their commitment and their just amazing execution of this style and tone.
Yeah.
So like I don't know that like we could talk about the story, but I don't know that like I think the story could have been anything really, and it would have still
as long as there was a story.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
I think to the point of the style, I think what caused me to find it so endearing in the beginning, especially, was the opening first few minutes of gameplay where just even on creating the file, you create your username, but then you can also write it out as like pronounceable.
Yes.
So, I do a lot of stuff as a cow with a K, and nothing like it's always going to be pronounced Kawithak if anything, runs it. But on this,
I pronounced it like that for years.
Sure. But on this game, I was able to then type down below cow with a K, and all of a sudden they're saying my username.
Yeah.
Very simplistic thing. Really cool feature for this to have added in. But the thing that got me the most was the tutorial, where anyone who's done like certification videos for work that you have to complete, like you need to watch this 10-minute health and safety video or this HR harassment video and then complete a little quiz at the end, and then that gets sent off. It's those videos, and it does perfectly the thing that's in almost all of them, which is the pre-recorded person is saying something, but then it's so generic for that first part that they then leave a blank for someone else to come in and do a voiceover of the information. Yeah. And the guy who's so unenthusiastic about go to the home screen, he's just, his voice is stuck in my head. It's so good. And the audio quality is terrible for his side of things, and such a good job on that.
Very, very nuanced, yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me exactly of like being 7, 8 years old and exploring like the extras on my Windows 95 disk. And it's like how to use your inkjet printer and stuff like that. Like that was very on the nose with that.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see what someone's perspective on this would be from someone who doesn't have
that experience,
90s nostalgia or like secondhand 90s nostalgia.
Yeah. I could imagine just pure frustration from someone like that, like just not understanding like how any of that, not understanding, but just like being like, why would anyone ever do this? Like how the fuck did the internet get off to a good start when this is what you guys were dealing with? Like,
I'd say that was the internet at its best, and everything's gotten worse since.
Like legitimately though, if you wiggled the cursor, it would increase the upload speed.
Which is like a urban myth that spread around everywhere when we were kids.
Yep. So good.
That was a fun detail. Not that I'm going to blame Hypnospace Outlaw for this by any means, but I hope that millennial nostalgia is not the new boomer nostalgia. Like, I do not want to be
Back in the good old
responsible
days.
for, yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want to. Like, you're already seeing it with a lot of things. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy.
Every generation has that cross to bear.
Yeah.
No, but that's not true because like the boomer nostalgia is still going. Like the Gen Xers were like completely shout like that meme with like the one bird shouting over the other bird.
Mm-hmm.
That is boomer nostalgia.
Well, yeah, because they refuse to go away. Like, it'll happen one day, naturally. We just have to wait a little longer.
And also, I guess like Gen Xer nostalgia is still pretty powerful. Like fucking Transformers isn't a boomer show.
Yeah.
We got how many Transformers fucking movies?
Yeah.
Or
I guess. I don't know. A lot of Gen Xers these days feel more and more like they're closely aligned with the boomer era than the millennial era.
Oh,
But
yeah. They're starting to retire too, so they're
getting a lot of weird ideas in their heads and not meeting a lot of new people with different ideas.
I don't think the Gen Xers are starting to retire. They're not that old.
I mean, my sister's a Gen Xer. She's like just a few years off from 50.
You don't retire at 50.
Yeah, I mean, what Gen Xer ends at like what 85?
Yeah, I just
Like
made the cutoff for millennial. Like, I'm 86. I am an old
Yeah, so like
millennial.
it's I guess that's so like the youngest Gen Xers are turning
like
40.
30, 40s, mid 40s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, the oldest ones are probably like 60.
Yeah.
If you assume a 20-year cohort, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Which doesn't feel right. Like, I think, like a lot of things,
Yeah,
the
it
way
doesn't
we
feel right
used
at
to
all, 'cause-
classify stuff needs an update. Because for a long
Yeah.
time, things just didn't fundamentally change from one generation to the next. But now, like,
no. Like the way I think of millennials is that if you were cognizant of reality on 9/11 but not an adult, then you were a millennial.
if you remember pre-digital, pre-recorded television where you could just like pull it up, on your device and watch your show whenever. Like, I remember the time where you either need to pre-program your VHS player, your VCR, to record and have a tape in that was not a tape that your parents had already like put a movie on.
Well, to be fair, you could technically those things can go back well before us.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, though, is like we kind of were the last of the generation that really existed for like 40 years before that, or about 30 good years. That was the last of the analog before everything went digital. We remember, our corded phones and like just landlines being really the only option.
But I do think that having the internet as a kid still is more important. Like, I think that's what separates millennials from non-millennials. Is like, I did go on the web.
Yes, I naturally just learned
like
the language of computers, like not programming in that way, but like the language of how to operate in a digital space, just by growing up around
millennials. We were the first generation to learn touch typing before cursive. I think that's probably like another important distinction between previous generations.
Yeah. I'm actually fine with cursive going away, personally. Like, I've gotten to this argument with even like my folks where they're like, you guys just don't use it. When's the last time you wrote a long form letter? Like,
I mean, I write in cursive every day, but
why?
That's silly.
Because it's faster. Like, I didn't actually start writing in cursive until about 6 or 7 years ago. And then I was like, this is taking too long, because I was journaling every night, and I was spending half an hour before bed writing. And this is just taking too goddamn long. So I was like, well, I watched videos on like how to write, not the way we were taught in school, but like Polymer script and stuff. And I just practiced until I could.
I can see the benefit of that, because without having to pick up the pencil as often, you can get your words out quicker.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it was
my
invented.
handwriting, like my penmanship, isn't good.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't read
neither is mine.
anything unless I write in all capital block print. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else I can really expand on for Hypnospace Outlaw. It's fun if you want to play a little bit of an investigator game with a lot of 90s nostalgia to it. Perfect game for it.
Way game or way lame? You know,
Way game.
Way game
is what I'd say.
Way game.
But definitely slowly is becoming way lame near the end.
I mean, but I think like a lot of like point and click style games kind of do get a little repetitive, or at least just like you kind of have to go back to the origin point, and you're just like,
yeah, you're just trying everything on everything.
Yeah. Even like a Disco Elysium, like near a certain point, I was like, I know I'm close to the end, and I just want this experience to be wrapped up.
Yeah.
Yeah, although I think Disco Elysium did a decent job, because at least at that point, it was toward the end. Like I remember reaching that point. I'm like, okay, the ending's coming. Let's keep it going. But at that point, you also stopped having to like figure stuff out. It was just like,
you have the
go to the next place, talk to this
through,
person. Go to the next place, talk to the next person. As opposed to like, but I mean, I guess that's the thing. Is like with the point and click, like I know I'm like, okay, I'll try the shoe on the ladder. I'll try the candle on the ladder. I'll try the whatever on the ladder, and then the ladder will finally work. There wasn't like many good options for that kind of stuff where I was just like, what code should I type in here to try and find the other secret web page I need to get this thing working? It felt more obtuse because it was an open essay answer question and not a multiple choice question, I guess.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, made it a lot harder to try to do things through process of elimination.
Yeah, but I still a great game. Just that was my emotional experience at the end of it. All right, so let's transition into the news.
News.
Okay, Mike.
What?
What's the news?
I don't really have any news.
Yeah.
I tried to look through this Nintendo Direct to see if there was anything exciting coming from it, and I guess the news is nothing exciting from Nintendo on the horizon except for maybe the Princess Peach game. Like that does look fun. It kind of reminds me of a Kirby game, so I'm interested in that. But it looks like Switch is just going to be getting a lot of mobile and console ports over to it that, I don't know, just none of them excite me. So,
is it death throes of the system?
Yeah, I mean, Arvid and I were talking a little bit before the recording started, but I think some of that was that the Switch 2 being on the horizon, there might be a lot of teams moving towards getting games ready for that.
Yeah, the one piece of news I have, which is no surprise to anyone, is Warner Brothers lost a lot of money on, or at least they made a lot less money on Suicide Squad than they thought they would. It's a multiplayer game, and it doesn't have anyone playing it.
Well, you said there's like 100 people.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking on games that just came out this year, according to Steam charts right now, concurrent players, you have Pal World with 222,000 people playing right now. Last Epoch has 203,000 players. Helldivers has 170,000 players, and Suicide Squad. I mean, this doesn't count consoles, obviously. Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League has 400 players on right now.
400 dedicated.
Which is 400 hardcore.
Yes.
I mean, that is...
I wonder how many of them dress like the Joker on a regular basis.
They're just... Yeah, no, exactly. They have been trying to convince their girlfriend to go as Harley Quinn for Halloween for years, and she just won't.
But now they can live it out.
Like, for reference, like there are so many games right now that have not just current. I mean, those are just games that came out since the turn of the year 2 months ago. I mean, I guess it just goes back to what we were talking about before, where like big companies should be able to make these games. Like that's the big problem that Helldivers and Pal World and all these other games that have come out has been like they lack servers because they didn't expect the games to do well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Suicide Squad had that
They
problem.
probably don't have a lack of
servers.
servers, yeah.
No, exactly. And the Pal World,
Enshrouded,
you have,
Nightingale.
Enshrouded, Nightingale.
Technically, Arc 2 came out pretty recently. Sons of the Force just released officially.
Yeah, I mean, but those aren't.
Those have been out.
Enshrouded has 30,000 players on
Yeah.
right now. Sons of the Force also has 30,000 players. But like Blizzard canceling their survival game, right? Like looks dumber and dumber every.
Sure does. It's almost as if companies don't actually know how to cultivate like a good development atmosphere. In that, I guess we can pile into the news. PlayStation is doing another round of firings. They're going to be doing a 8% layoff of their workforce and completely closing the London studio, and are canceling a lot of future games right at the time that Helldivers 2, a
sweeping
PlayStation, published game, is just doing bonkers.
Because I guess it's like they're realizing maybe that they can just find little indie studios to publish their crap.
I think that's
trying to make their own
game. The studios they're specifically targeting are Insomniac Games, Guerrilla, Naughty Dog, Firesprite, amongst others, and the full shuttering of the London studio. So yeah, it looks like they're taking all their big names that they've spent all this time acquiring and setting those off to the wayside for these little studios that they don't have to pay as much money. All the more reason that studios should just stay independent if they can.
I will point out that Sony London's
it's not great. It's a lot of like PSVR shit.
It's almost entirely the SingStar series.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is a karaoke game. Yeah. So, I mean, I remember SingStar being huge in 2003. I forgot it existed since then.
I think they've been doing a few things here and there, but yeah, no, I mean, that one's not even like the total number is going to be 900 roughly people getting laid off.
Yeah. I mean, not that it's not I mean, 900 people is a lot.
Yeah.
People, but Sony's a huge.
Yeah. Well, that just shows you it's roughly, employing what then? 10,000 people. I mean, give or take, like if you want to round it, but I don't know. Still just, I wish these companies would stop acquiring developers. I don't know the developers want to be acquired because that's just more cash for them, but it just feels like at the end of the day, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're just giving up like ultimate control.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends a lot on which end of it is, because there's some developers I'm pretty sure that sell up just to like basically retire.
Which
I'm going to sell
fine.
my company.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know, when you hear about like games being canceled, it just starts to smack to me of like Warner Brothers canceling movies just as a tax write-off. Not saying that that's what Sony's doing, but
no, I think it's just they're I think that the past couple of months have been a bigger deal for the game industry than, not that I like saying game industry, for the video game entertainment industry, than people expect. Like, I think that this is after a full year of firings, basically. Since it seems like people have just been, and then the indie studios with small teams are coming out and
blowing it out of the water. Yeah.
Like, Pal World has sold more copies than all of the SimCity games combined.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I believe it, but that's just insane.
Yeah, I think all the SimCities have sold combined is like 14 million, and Pal World's like 18 million. Like, it's, I remember it was a big deal when Halo sold 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the industry is huge.
Yeah.
So if you can get a game that everyone's playing, that's insane. Like, to have that kind of, zeitgeist popularity, you can't buy that. You can't advertise that.
Yeah.
No matter how many Skull and Bones commercials you see, or Suicide Squad commercials, or how many IPs you buy up, like, you cannot get that kind of like how much money did they make off of fucking Among Us?
God,
yeah,
they're still making money right now.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
doing a lot of crossover stuff too. Yeah, Jesus, I knew there was a lot of layoffs, but it also kind of started near the end of last year too. But just this
yeah.
year alone, there's been about 6,500 layoffs in less than 2 months.
Yeah.
So that's going to bring it to over 7,000 in under 2 months.
Easily.
Like that's
Easily, yeah.
crazy. I don't know. Well, maybe we're just going to see a lot of new pop-up indie studios from all these people grouping together, and we get some really cool shit out of it.
I mean, hopefully.
Yeah. I like to have a silver lining.
Yeah.
on all of
Yeah.
this.
Hopefully not a lot of suicides.
No.
Squads.
Right.
No Suicide Squad.
Yes.
No more of those.
Yes.
All right, so let's move on from news.
Another
I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a quiz.
whittle quiz.
A whittle quiz. So,
What?
Pokemon. You heard of this? Pokemon.
Is this like the start of a
Been
Jay
around for
Leno? Pokemon. You heard of this? Pokemon?
It's been around for a minute, and they keep remaking them. Like, they keep making sequels,
Yeah.
but they also keep making remakes,
Yes.
which I wasn't really aware
Yeah.
of because I kind of checked out in 1999, thereabouts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the name of a Pokemon game, and it's going to be a remake, and you have to tell me what console it came out on and what it is remaking, what games it's remaking.
The original. So
Okay.
the original title of the game, is that what you're?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I want the original title of the game and the console that the new one came out on.
Oh, that the new one came out on.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Okay.
Fail this.
Okay. So, I'll start with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
That would be Pokemon Diamond and Pearl.
Right. Or is it
Yeah.
like a red herring?
No. It's Diamond and Pearl.
Okay.
But the question is, I'm trying to
When they come
remember
on. Yeah.
which console Diamond and Pearl came out on, which will help inform which one Shining came out on.
Oh.
Was
Those were.
was
not
that a DS
Advance?
or was it an Advance? Yeah, I'm trying to think because Gold and Silver were Game Boy Color.
Yes.
Diamond and Pearl, I believe, were the next ones in the series, right?
I think.
So that would have maybe been DS. I mean, I'm sure they exist on Switch, but that might have even been 3DS that they came out on.
No, the answer is Switch. Exclusive to the Switch.
Okay.
And Diamond and Pearl actually originally came out for the DS.
Oh,
Okay.
Ruby Sapphire were
Ruby and
advanced.
Sapphire. Yeah.
How about
That was the
Pokemon
in-between.
Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon?
Oh, Sun and Moon. Durr. And you know what? I'm gonna guess a theme. It's gonna be the Switch.
I'm going to guess the Switch 2. And interestingly enough, I don't think I ever played Sun and Moon.
No, so it's the 3DS. It was remade for the 3DS. The original came out on the 3DS.
Okay, because I know the 3DS's big
So
one
like
was
a remaster?
Black and White. And
Yeah.
Black and White 2.
Yep. All right. So how about Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire? Blech.
Ruby Sapphire.
Ruby Sapphire, which was Advance.
Yeah,
So I don't know if they, by the time DS was coming around, if they were working on remakes. I think they still would have been pretty focused on making new ones.
Well, the thing is, we just found out they remade a DS one for
yeah,
the
that's true.
DS. So those bastards can do anything.
I'll say 3DS.
That's correct. 3DS. Yep. And the original did come out on Game Boy Advance. All right.
Okay.
How about Heart Gold and Soul Silver?
Gold and silver. Duh.
They were Game Boy Color, and
Were they color?
came. I'm pretty sure it was Game Boy Color.
I'll believe you.
It could have been Advance, but I think Heart Gold and Soul Silver also were Game Boy Advance, though.
You know, you're right, because they had the gold cartridge.
Yeah.
So it definitely was a
Yeah, because it wasn't the little SD cards yet.
yeah. And I don't think they ever remade anything on the Game Boy Advance system.
I feel like I had a little tiny.
Did you?
Oh no, that was Leaf Green and Fire Red. I think I had for the Game Boy Advance.
So wait, were we making them on the evening? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they were, because that was blue and red, which we may be already answering a future question. But I remember playing them on color, and I'm going to say Advance is where the remake for Silver and Gold happened.
I'll stick with it, man. Let's do it. See
Okay.
it.
It was in fact, the DS.
No shit. Huh.
All right, so you guys predicted this. Next one is Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Yep. Which is a trick question because it's red and blue here in the States. It was red and green for the Japanese versions.
Mm-hmm. But the remake was still called Leaf Green and Fire Red.
Yeah. That one was actually really cool because you had the expanded Safari for it, and you could migrate over Pokemon from other generations into the Safari and then take them out of the Safari into your game.
So what console did it come out on?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I know. Okay, this one I'm overthinking it. Game Boy, just straight Game Boy, was blue and red, and
Okay.
it was the Game Boy Advance because I had the little short half cartridge of Leaf Green. I got Leaf Green. Nick got Fire Red.
I'm supporting your confidence.
All right, you're right. That's correct.
There we go.
Came out. And then the last one.
I haven't smoked all of my memories away yet.
Last one. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Only one of them is actually a remake, obviously.
Yeah, Yellow, obviously.
Yeah, it's a remake of Yellow, which would just be Let's Go Pikachu. They just had to do a comparison one with Let's Go Eevee, which who's getting that version? Like, come on.
But what system? Yeah, I don't know.
Let's Go, or Yellow was, I think it was Game Boy Color. I don't think it was.
That. I'm trying to think of what the remake would be on.
Those could have been advanced too. It might have been.
I know those were. I feel like the Eevee game was earlier, like an earlier release.
There was. I want to say there was a
remember hearing
microphone
about it.
feature, and I don't know if the Game Boy Advance had a built-in microphone. I know the DS
The
did.
DS definitely did have the microphone.
Yeah.
I remember that for some Wario ways.
Yeah. So yeah, where instead of making noise, you actually just had to lightly blow, and that was the best way to get it to respond.
So DS?
Let's say DS for the remakes, and it's Game Boy Color for the original.
It is a remake of Pokemon Yellow, but it came out for the Switch.
Oh, dang.
And
Oh,
exclusively
shit.
on the Switch. Yeah. The Eevee thing you're thinking of is something else. I don't remember what that was. Because there was that one you talked to Pikachu on the 64. Hey,
That's
you,
the-
Pikachu.
Hey,
That's
That
the
might be
one
what
I'm.
you're thinking
Yeah,
of.
I think. Yeah. Man, there were some great RPG. Like the console Pokemon games for the N64 were actually really good. Like the N64 and GameCube both had some really cool, like very heavy storyline based RPG games.
I have heard that about the one for GameCube. I can never remember the name of it, but like every time I see a screenshot from it, I'm like, what the heck is that? That's a Pokemon game?
Yeah.
Like I keep thinking it's like a bootleg Photoshop.
No, I remember I rented it one weekend and Nick came over and we just like played the shit out of it for 2 days straight.
What is it, like a Pokemon Stadium?
It's like
It's
its
a
own
JRPG, but it also has Pokemon.
Yeah,
Huh.
What was it called?
I'm pulling it up.
Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness.
Yes, that was it. It was so good, so good.
I never played
Like people are fucking up if they didn't play it.
Yeah, I've never played. I've only seen
No, I've never
You're
heard of
fucking
it.
up then.
some dumb videos of it. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just surprised to see how many times Pokemon's been remade, despite the fact that they put out a new game every 2 years, 3 years. Or must be 3 years, I guess. Let's see here.
I believe that every 3 years minimum kind of thing, or like a.
They've also done some ports because I didn't know Ruby and Sapphire both went on to the GameCube as a dual disc box.
Ruby and Sapphire?
Well, they had the
Looking at it
Game Boy
right here.
Advance like attachment for the GameCube.
Yeah, I think they mean the attachment thing. I don't remember there being
The
there
image
was no-
I'm looking at is a box set for the GameCube that contains both games.
I am
as
You're gonna have-
as little GameCube discs.
I remember you're
going to have to share
could
that
get
image.
Yeah,
Tinkle's
yeah.
map.
Here,
on
let
your
me
Game Boy
save
Advance.
this image, and I'm going to drop this in.
Better not be.
And I'm going to have to look up, not again, just the one.
Look at that.
So I've never heard of Pokemon Box.
Is this real?
It seems to be.
Oh yeah, it's a storage system for the Game Boy Advance that allows players to trade and store Pokemon that have caught on Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Leaf Freed, and onto a Game Boy memory card. So it allows you to
Very
just put all your
interesting.
Pokemon onto a Game Boy.
It's
memory.
literally an
external
expanded
drive for
It's
your
an expanded
Pokemon.
box for your Pokemon. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. That makes way more sense. But still very cool. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
very
how Pokemon Stadium used. It's how I almost exclusively used to play the original Pokemon game, Blue and Red, back in the day. Was through Pokemon Stadium. When you beat like the final Elite Four, like the whole story mode for Stadium, you unlock the ability to play Pokemon on it. Like literally, it's really cool. So there used to be an attachment instead of the Rumble Pack you could put on the back of the controller that you could then put a Game Boy game into, and you could then play on the N64 Pokemon Blue and Red. And you could speed up the game speed, so you could play it very quickly.
Wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. The game speed would change to Do Duo and Do Trio the faster you made it run.
I mean, I remember going to like a friend's house and putting your cartridge in the thingy so you could like use your Pokemon in the battle. But I don't remember. I never played it that much.
Yeah, yeah. If you beat the whole thing, you unlock the ability to play the games on it. Very fun. And I think you also got the ability to transfer a Pokemon. Was it Mew? Like you got something from doing that you could take into your actual game as well.
So you could like move around in the world and everything? Like it was just like Pokemon?
Yeah, you could start like a whole new file. It's just you were just playing it through the emulator inside of Pokemon
Okay,
Stadium.
so it wasn't like N64 graphics or anything.
No.
It
It was still
okay.
absolutely the Game Boy game. They had to change the ratio to make it work on the sides, and like it was just bigger and in better color, right?
like basically what they do with the thingy that let you plug into your Game Boy Advance into the Dreamcast,
Yep.
GameCube later on.
Yep.
I keep doing
Yep.
that.
I know
did
what
in
you
the
meant.
last episode. I accidentally said Dreamcast. I meant to say GameCube.
Yeah, but Dreamcast also kind of had those abilities too with their virtual
Yeah.
or visual
GameCubes.
memory card that they had. Yeah,
What was that controller called again?
the best designed controller ever. I don't
There was a
know.
name for it.
Yeah,
Was it?
but I don't recall. God, it looks so good. Striker DC. No, that's not it.
There was a name for it. I swear.
I don't know. Everything just comes up saying the Sega Dreamcast controller.
Yeah.
I thought they had a name for it. Maybe I'm wrong.
They might have.
I mean, it could also be one of those things that had a name later, like Xbox never called their controller the Duke.
the Duke,
But
not until it retired. And God, I miss the Duke.
me too.
It was
I
so
mean,
comfortable.
I mean, that was the other thing is like it set apart the Xbox from the PlayStation. Like I avid PlayStation 2 player, but like when I got an Xbox, it felt special because of that, like the boot up sequence and that huge heavy controller, and then like there's something special had been lost after that. All right, so do we want to do what we've been playing now? Do we have anything else we want to discuss?
I don't think I have anything else to discuss.
You've been playing?
Yeah. What have you guys been playing?
Marcus, what have you been playing?
Just Cookie Clicker.
Oh shit! How many cookies you got now, man?
Well, I think I've ascended a few times.
Well, that's fair.
I'm checking right now. I gotta get rid of these
He has to
alarms.
count them in like galaxies now.
Yeah.
5.5 septillion.
Okay, I was like, are you having to do a lot of like difficult math
There's
there?
a lot of zeros in here.
It's just a minus sign e power of.
It's like 5.543 e plus 24.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's a
With a
lot.
5.5 septillion. I mean, my legacy is 96. I'm 4 from 100. 4 days from 100.
Jesus. That's incredible.
Still only 42.8% achievements.
That's insane. And also, I saw an update's coming soon for it.
Oh no, but apparently you were right. The youth are playing it.
That's
'Cause I was-
that's wild.
I was
to
playing
me.
it at work, and this like 16-year-old hostess girl was just like, "Are you playing Cookie Clicker?" I was like, "Yeah."
I told you we're on the zeitgeist.
Oddly enough, it's all just coming back around.
Yeah, we're not old and irrelevant.
No. I never had to stop wearing my baggy pants and flannels, and it's now fashionable again.
I can get my Jinkos out of the closet.
Yep, that's the lesson. If you never change, eventually it'll all come back.
A broken clock is right twice in your life.
Yes, exactly.
Well, holy shit.
What have you been playing, Mike?
I have been playing Pacific Drive.
Oh, that one does
Oh,
look
yeah.
fun.
It's very fun. It's such a weird game. I know I've said on here before, I like the SCP universe, like the idea of these relics and artifacts that seem like mundane things, but then have these weird properties to them.
Yeah.
And this is just another one of those. Yeah, you can tell at its core, it's built from that lore. It's very fun.
What I've seen some streamers play it, and I think it looks really cool. But the thing the lore actually reminded me the most of is it reminds me more of like the original Stalker, or like
Okay.
the movie, or even the book. Like
Sure.
Roadside picnics.
Which,
Roadside Picnic.
oddly enough, I was actually going to ask if anyone was interested in a Stalker watch party soon, because it's been... No,
That
it
sounds
definitely
creepy.
reminded me of that, too.
Is that something you do with people?
Is watch the movie Stalker? Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
You can watch it with other people. It's fine.
yeah. It just seems like something you should drink alone at 3 a.m. with straight vodka. I don't know.
I don't know if that's the headspace I want to be in while I'm watching that movie. It'll get you into that headspace anyways on its own.
Nah, that's fair.
But it does have a lot of those vibes. But I would say that Stalker and all of that maybe were, the progenitors of that type of sci-fi lore, right?
Yeah.
This unexplainable, possibly from another zone energy that is interacting with the mundane world.
Well, I think that, like, not to get way too off subject here, but I'm going to anyway. I think one thing that separates, like, SCP and X-Files and, like, the westernization of this is, like, the idea that these things can be almost codified or filed or sorted, or, like, there is some way of comprehending, or at the very least,
Labeling.
getting
and
your head around
Categorizing,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, well, like, the original, like, Stalker and Roadside Picnic, it was unknowable, uncontrollable. You were completely in the dark. Nothing was predictable, which I think, not to say that SCP doesn't have that either, or any of those things, but I think that that's like what newer versions bring to the table is like more of like an X-Filesy, or even what was that British one that had a very similar Warehouse 13?
Yeah.
Warehouse 30.
Yeah.
It was Canadian, but yeah.
Was that okay? It was, oh no,
British
I'm thinking
Canadian.
of no. What's the British one that's like that? It's set in Wales.
Are you talking about Torchwood? The
Torchwood,
Doctor Who
thank you.
spinoff?
Yeah, right, because it's a anagram.
It's an anagram of Doctor Who. Yes.
Yeah, right. I learned that after I watched like 2 seasons of it.
Yeah.
Or at least one season.
Fringe is another one that does all of that very well. I liked Fringe. No, you're right. I mean, that's with everything these days, though, right? Like, you can't create a comic book or a superhero or a show now without being very conscious that there will be conscious that there's going to be a wiki that's going to detail and categorize every little thing. So leaning into that for a game just appeals to that audience, which is going to be the most engaging audience anyways, because of what they like.
I mean, I wasn't saying it's like a bad thing.
No,
I just
no,
think
no,
it's
no.
interesting
Yeah,
how
it's-
that like the Western version of that means that like these things can go in boxes somehow.
We love our lists. We love to put things in little lists and categories and then consider
Yeah,
them
I'm-
immutable from those.
Yeah, I mean, even it, like, it's almost like the end of Indiana Jones, where it's like it's in a box somewhere, like it can be controlled. You know, which I think is because like the one thing that I think that I get from the book and to a lesser extent the movie is just how terrifying it is to like have literally no understanding of what's going on or what something could do, and I feel like some of that gets lost in a lot of SCP stuff where it kind of feels like they're monsters. You know what a monster can do.
Well, yeah, I feel like with the SCP, it's like they have the foundation or whatever the fuck they call it, and they're bringing in and keeping everything there. But in Stalker, it's just like we have to build the walls around whatever the zone is, and that's it.
Yeah,
Rather
you can
than,
defend yourself from it.
Yeah.
You can't control it itself. Yeah, which is why I think that kind of leans more into, not to talk to you about the game you played, but like watching people play it, like it does seem like it's almost not like you can't, like things happen to your car and you just have to kind of adapt to what's happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of just take it and deal with it. That can be very frustrating. And well, to that point, so weird supernatural things can happen to your car. It can get what they call quirks, and it will seem as mundane as like, for the longest time, I would be stopping at these points. You have to grab and collect these energy spheres from the area that are helping keep the area stabilized. And that energy is the currency you spend in the game to learn new blueprints, either to upgrade the shop or upgrade the car or yourself,
Full
you know,
empties.
whatever. And yeah, and the way it works is once you take that, the area begins to destabilize. So there was always weird, not enemies exactly, but just weird events happening in the mission area. But once it begins to destabilize from that, it gets weird. And I don't know if that's when you can develop quirks for your car, but one of the weird quirks for a while on my car was every time I'd stop at one of these points to collect it, I'd put my, you know, I wouldn't necessarily turn off the car, but I'd put it in park, get out, and then go and get the energy sphere, come around to the passenger front door, and it would already be open. And for a while, I was like, oh, the door must be opening to like ready to receive this energy sphere I need to deposit in this device in the passenger seat. And later I realized, no, it's every time I'm putting my car in park from drive, it's opening the right door. And so there's a diagnostic machine in the garage where you can do these like if-then statements to try to logic out what's going on. And if you guess all four sequences correctly, it will then offer for a small payment to fix the quirk from the car. So it's just these cool things where you start to notice like little hiccups with your car. Maybe it's pulling to the left, but you don't have a flat. Why is it doing that? Or my headlights were dimming, and it was anytime I was keeping the wheel turned, my headlights were dimming. That was a quirk I was able to get fixed, but I had to figure out through troubleshooting in the field what was causing the issue. So even outside of the supernatural, like direct supernatural stuff, even that was just, it's really fun. I'm enjoying it. And I didn't realize you were going to be getting out of the car as much as you do. And it's getting to the point now where like I don't like being away from the car for too long because shit seems to get weirder and weirder the longer you're out. And there's a lot of radiation around, and the car protects you from that. So
I think there are parts of watching, I keep wanting to say Pacific Rim, that kind of make me, they're like, oh, this is what I kind of thought Starfield was going to be more of.
yeah.
You know, like I need to think about like this planet's got weird radiation. This planet's got lightning animals that are trying to attack me or whatever. And it doesn't have any of that. So like, no, it looks very cool.
Yeah.
I intend to play that at some point.
I'm getting to the point now where I'm starting to unlock the stuff where I could actually, like sometimes you'll go to an area that's a hot zone and it's going to have like literal heat elements and things going on, or it might be really high in radiation, and you can get different like thermal armored panels for your car or lead lined for radiation. So you can in the garage swap out everything, strip the car right down to the chassis, and then rebuild it. The engine, the gas can that you even keep in there, like all of that can be edited and customized. And I got my car almost looking like one of the Jeeps from Jurassic Park right now, and I'm very excited. It's very green and yellow. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, that reminds me a lot of Subnautica, especially in the later stages where you're like, I have my submarine and I'm going to leave
I
to get some
can't wait for the
things,
third one.
And I really don't want to, like, you never want to go far away from your submarine. It becomes this thing.
It becomes a part of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very much happening with the car, which is cool because in the lore, the car is not your original car that you start with. Light spoiler for it. You do lose that car pretty quickly after learning how to drive in the game. And then you get this, which is a remnant, their idea of like an SCP-style artifact.
So the car is a character itself?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so the car, the whole idea with remnants is once they pick a person, which is you, the player, you slowly begin to get obsessed with it until you lose your mind. So I don't know where the game's heading, but I feel like as the game progresses and gets deeper, I'm going to start seeing crazier and crazier things that might not be from the incident that has caused the environment to change, but could be coming from the car affecting the player internally, which I'm very excited to see how that develops.
Yeah. It does sound like a very, very fun and interesting game.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just cool to like be on the road and be like, oh, I need to siphon some gasoline from a car. Like fuel's getting a little low. Or like, ooh, battery's getting low. Better make sure I have like a set of jumper cables here to get this started back up. Yeah. Just very fun.
I'm looking forward to playing that. I haven't been playing anything that interesting. Mostly I've been playing the game that we are getting ready to talk about next week.
Fair.
Oh, what game is that?
Which is Metroid Dread.
Oh, are you dreading
It is. I was kind of hoping for, like, I told Mike I wanted to play just want to get my teeth into another Metroidvania, and I was expecting something different than
like
this.
a Metroid Fusion kind of game.
I was expecting, something like that, or maybe, I guess actually the way I've been running around, I think I just wanted to play Mega Man, but this is a lot harder than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a Switch game, and you pay for it. It's not cheap. Not that I mind because it's good, but it's very punishing, but rewarding at the same time. Like it manages to do that. Not to like, we're gonna talk about it next episode, but like I was not expecting it to be essentially a survival horror platformer, which is kind of what it ended up being.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is because of the way the game works, and yeah, we will talk about it more next week. That I feel like you don't get to get as absorbed into the level layout as you normally would, because there's a lot of times where you are required to just go as fast as you can through an area, like a lot of times. But yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about that.
All right, well, I think that's all we got to say.
Yeah, we're coming up
Mike,
on the
do you have
2-hour
any-
mark.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of dead air in there. Do you have any coming this week sections or anything you want to throw out at us?
No, I didn't see anything that was overly exciting.
Yeah.
I've grabbed Nightingale that came out from this last week, and I have yet to sink my teeth into it enough to have an opinion on it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna wait until the offline mode is a thing, and then I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not technically early access, or is that effective early access?
It's early access.
The problem is I generally avoid games in early access, but I also appreciate it when they're in early access and aren't just
And are basically done.
Yeah, and they're just kind of using it as a way of like trying to get donations, or like the idea that you can't yell at us it's a bad game because it's still in early access.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are so many games I have on my wish list that have been in early access for like 5, 6, 7 years, and I'm like, you're just adding DLC at this point. This isn't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
No, I think that's it though.
Yeah. Well, thanks for talking to us.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Yes.
If you like this, you should leave a message at the tone.
Mm-hmm.
Send us an email at thesavestatepodcast@gmail.com, which email is probably almost as antiquated as answering machines these days.
Yeah.
What are people using now? Like just leaving each other TikToks?
Well, I mean, social media.
Yeah.
Where you can
Sending us
reach
a
at.
Snapchat butthole pic. That's how the teens communicate these days, right?
I think it's that thing that comes out of the toilet and says a weird word.
Oh, skibbity. Yeah.
Skibbity toilet.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is that. In fact, just by saying that, I felt my hair fall out.
Don't check the toilet right now.
I've aged.
You got skibbity
already
in there.
just by
I have no
saying
idea
it.
what you guys are talking about.
Oh,
That's good.
at least
You're
we're
still
younger
young enough to.
than Marcus.
I don't. I think it's the other way around. I think we're at the age where we're old enough to be horrified by it, while Marcus is not young enough to get it, but not old enough to like be confused by it. He just doesn't know it's there.
I don't know.
That's the way I want to be.
That's fair. That's fair.
I thought it was like a Gumshoe Goober reference. That wasn't like catching on to. To be honest.
Nope. It's a weird Gary's mod.
It's like
holdover.
It's like a screenshot from Gary's mod like 20 years ago.
But
or
it's
10 years
spawned
ago,
like an entire series of
It's
like
come
shitty
back.
mobile games and
Oh.
like
yeah, it's like
jump
the
scare
Here Comes That
videos.
Boy of 2024.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's called Skibbity.
Skibbity toilet.
I mean, you
Oh,
just start with skibbity
toilet.
and like you'll get there. You'll find it. But yes, toilet is a big part of it as well.
yeah. Just so if you want to send us Skibbity toilets, you can do so at the Save State Pod on Blue Sky.
Mm-hmm.
What?
It says my social media manager.
Mm-hmm.
Our social media manager.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you like the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and all that.
Yeah.
Tell your friends.
Yeah. Fun little fact that people might not know: Scott Karatopoulos actually was the base model for Skibbity Toilet Man.
I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it without the hair though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I
I mean
still
that was
see
different,
it.
but that's easy to change in rendering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, there's a.
So
What the fuck is this?
I think Marcus is
Slowly
lost
fading
in
into the background.
Skibbity toilet wormhole.
Oh,
Yep.
Falling down.
Yep. We've unlocked something horrific.
There's a lot of it.
Yeah, there's a lot. There is a lot.
All right.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I've been Marcus.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
right,
it's a
I've been-
show.
I've been Mike. All right.